it's a Descendants of the Dragon. He's got Vigilance, and this is an 814. So this is a supercharged version of those defenders I was playing earlier. It's kind of late, but I want to finish the rest of these. So I think what I'll do is I will do Varor and Warpath. Now I did do Flame Dawn already, so what I'm going to do against Varor is I'm actually going to play Sleepers. So the Varor are actually my favorite faction to play, but I'll get to play them next turn. So I drew this card, Krealik, Origin of the Virus. All undead characters you control have Infect. Now, what Infect will do is when you kill an enemy, you gain control of it. So basically, you get to... They're a zombie faction, you get to turn them into zombies, is the idea. The other really cruel thing about this deck is there's Zombie Scavenger. So whenever an undead character you control dies, Zombie Scavenger gains +2/+2. Now you've got Risen of Avaric. If Risen of Avaric is in the graveyard for 3 consecutive turns, it is raised and returns to your support zone. So the idea here is that I've put a whole bunch of cards inside of this deck to die quickly and come back. And all the while that's happening, the zombie scavengers just keep getting stronger and stronger. So the Varor are actually a faction that's really good at killing things. But what's happening when they kill things, they are actually... In this case, they're strengthening my host. Now, I was going to show a little bit about what's going on with the Varor when I played it, but these things are what you need to worry about. The Varor Death Worshipper. So they're just a 2/2 creature that costs 3 to deploy, so they seem pretty harmless. But their ability is whenever an enemy character is killed, Varor Death Worshipper gains a +2/+2. So if you're playing Flame Dawn against them and you're not careful in terms of how quickly your enemies are dying, all of a sudden this thing is 100/100 and you're having a really bad game. In this case, I'm just going to play Overwhelming Dead, which creates 5 2/2 undead characters. The trick here, and this is one of the things that you can do against a Varor player if they're not careful, is you can actually let them get really greedy about their Death Worshippers, and you can just put these 2/2 creatures in here. So like they're going to say, "Oh, this is tasty. You know, I can take these things out and bring my Death Worshippers up to a high level." Now the trick here is I've got an Assassinate in my pocket. So if I ever feel that they're becoming a little too dangerous for me, I always can keep the Assassinate to take them out. Better still, I can potentially infect one of them, and then I get to keep it for myself. So I actually want these things to die just because I have two creatures that get stronger when they die, and I have a way of handling at least one of their creatures that gets buffed by their death. So I'm holding the advantage in this case. And looks like they're just taking it, which is, by the way, a good Varor strategy. If you can make people feel a little overconfident and just hold out for an ideal position, you usually wind up winning, in my opinion. This was just a deployment phase for me. I don't actually want to put these guys into a fight because they're useless to me until they've got some buffs. So I'm kind of waiting for these guys to die. All right, this is a card I love but would hate to play against. Recurring Nightmare. It's got Infect, so if this card kills a character, that character is raised an undead character under my control. Each time you deploy this card from the graveyard... Sorry, you can deploy this card from the graveyard. Each time you do, it gains 3/3. So it costs 4 to play. Starts off as 6/8. Let's say that somebody kills it. Assuming that they didn't die killing it, I at least don't get to steal the card from them. But I get to play this next turn, and it comes back as a 9/11 creature. Oh, and by the way, because that thing died, I've now got +4, basically +2/+2 over 2 heroes here. So again, there's some pretty good synergies that you can get with the sleepers. You also notice the placement that I'm doing for here is the exact opposite. I'm actually putting the weak stuff up first just so it can die earlier. Now again, it's a little bit of a high stakes strategy against the Varroa, because the Varroa do get stronger based on how successfully they kill your cards. But I'm sort of banking on my advantage. So here's here's basically a prototypical Varroa card, Death Ray. Kill target character on the battlefield. They used it on Risen of Avaric, which is basically going to come back on its own in 3 turns. So these became became 4/4, and the Death Worshippers became 4/4. So they're down to 4 health. What I would do in this case, like if I was playing against a human, it says pay 3, exhaust, deal 8 damage to the enemy player's fortress. So I activate that, and what I do instead is I say it's like, okay, maybe they're just going to make some big suicide rush to wipe out my fortress. All hands on deck. I'm putting everything in the defensive zone because I know that 8 damage is going to win the game for me here. And that's an important thing to remember, is that if you think that you are about to lose the game, it is a simultaneous turn, so you can turn a loss into a tie just by letting your opponent get a little overconfident and using the fact that they've under-defended their base to turn a certain defeat into a tie. In this case, they didn't do anything too scary, so... You'll notice what's happening here. One really nasty trick that you can do is you can put a lot of weak creatures up in the defensive area first, and then you have your 2 scavengers at the very end, so everything else that's left basically gets wiped out by the now buffed scavengers. Okay, so last group, I'm going to play against the Warpath with Varroa. Now, I seem to recall that I'm not that good against the Warpath as the Varroa. The Warpath are another group which benefits from maybe not super early aggression, but they're very like heavy-hitting creature. Like you can see there's a 35/35 creature in this guy's command zone. So what I'm basically going to do here is I'm going to use this Wealthy Nobleman. I'm going to try and get as many Death Worshippers on the board as I can, and then I'm going to basically try and kill as many things as I can to get sort of this unstoppable horde of buffed creatures. It's actually one of the reasons why I put a Wealthy Noble in the command zone at the beginning, is so I can get Death Worshippers on the board as fast as I can. Okay, this is an absolutely magical card. Mass Death, kill all characters on the battlefield. Any characters you control that started the turn on the battlefield cannot be moved this turn. So what you do with this card is you wait for your opponent to commit everything into the assault zone. You drop that with your Death Worshippers in your safety areas, and you destroy them the next turn. It is a combo. Like, I've seen my fortress get completely ripped apart to a point where I was at 5 health. You play the most patient game that you can as a Varroa, and you are going to cause so many rage quits in this game, it's not even funny. All right. Yeah, by the way, this is the only reason I play Varroa. When candidate enters the deployed area, draw 2 cards. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, saltiest card ever. I agree. Okay. And again, this is the hardest thing to do as a Varor, is just watch this slowly build up. The other thing that I'm waiting for too is they've got this thing Skrar, which is a 15/15 haste unstoppable beast. So the idea here with Unstoppable is whenever a character with Unstoppable destroys an opponent's character while attacking, it will attack again. So if I were to put like a string of 2/2 creatures up to defend against this thing, it would just wipe me out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait one more turn. These guys hit hard, right? This is a total of 18 damage I'm taking each turn. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold off one more turn and see if I can make something happen. Oh, kill target character in the command zone. So what I want to do here is kill Hidden by Clouds, which is a 35/35, but the biggest one is it's 15 morale damage. So I'm going to start with that. And then I'm going to see if there's an intelligent way that I can do this defense. Not really. So then I'm just going to throw bodies in front of the enemy. This is a neat little card here. It's at the end of the turn, if Battlefield Scavenger is in the defense zone, you draw a card. If Battlefield Scavenger dies, you draw a card. Ideally, I want to keep this thing around a little bit more, but as it is, kind of desperate times call for desperate measures. What I'm going to do, I want to at least kill one of many. So here I'm going to use the Heat Wave and just do 2 damage to all the creatures. So this is where I have a little bit of a gamble. I can assume that Skrar is going to get played next turn, at which case I'm basically dead. And I play my Mass Death. The problem is if Skrar doesn't get played next turn, then I've wasted this thing on relatively few cards. So in this case, this is really my only option, because if I let this go too much longer, I'm not gonna be able to put up a defense. But if he doesn't play Skrar, I actually have to think about what I'm gonna do. I might even try blowing the Death Ray on him just so I can be sure. But I have a feeling he's basically gonna commit everything to a death push. Nope, didn't play the Skrar, so I'm in a little bit of trouble. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move all of my Death Worshippers into the Assault Zone. Again, Skrar is a problem for me, so I'm going to use the Death Ray on him, even though it's possible I may not actually need to worry about it. The most he can hit me with right now is a 10/10 creature, which will buff by 3, so this is another 10. So at the most, I have to deal with 23 damage, which is half of my health. Not great, but in this case, I've got how many of these things? Is it 6? Yeah, so in this case, I'm doing, I believe, over 100 damage with these creatures on its own. Oh no, it's a 12/12 here, so... But as you can see, it's an absolutely devastating blow that I'm going to be leveling at them. And depending on what happens with the Skrar, I more or less have certain victory. Yep, so it looks like I did play the Skrar, which is fantastic for me. This is almost certainly game-winning. And that's why I like Varor so much. Because, like, you'll be always playing against somebody... And it doesn't matter how many times you've beaten them as Varor, you just play patient. You know, again, when you're playing against a human being, you are playing a lot more in terms of mind games and making sure that, oh, maybe this guy isn't going to be on the battlefield, or I'm going to move him to the defensive zone, or like, you're going to do a whole bunch of things. I've had games where I've played against Varor where I make it seem like I'm just building up this big death push, and then I put a bunch of, you know, people on the board one turn, and then I immediately pull them back the next turn so they blow their mass death. Like, this is, to me, the reason why I like Infinity Wars so much is for groups like the Varroa, precisely because the time that you spend, just the time that you spend trying to outthink your opponent is some of the most satisfying that I've spent. So that's Infinity Wars. I wanted to get that introduced on the stream. I am really tired right now. I have been for the whole stream, actually, but I really wanted to get some of this stuff done and out there. I'm actually about 45 minutes past my time, so I would have normally wanted to do an online game, but in this case, I think I'm going to call it for tonight. I hope you guys found this interesting. I am very happy to play more of this game if this is the sort of stuff you'd like to see more of. But more importantly, I'd love to see you guys start playing this game yourself. I don't really have anybody to play it with, and I think it would be fun if we can get some people together to, have some good old Varroa games where we stop talking to each other for weeks afterwards. But yeah, that's it for me tonight. I know after a really long hiatus, this is kind of a very slapdash kind of a broadcast, and I apologize for that. I didn't quite know that I was going to have a career night that I was going to. It wasn't bad. I kind of got what I thought I was going to get out of it. I went in with low expectations, though, so take that as you will. Definitely would have preferred to have been streaming. But I need to give some special shout outs. Akadak, thank you for keeping me company. And of course, all of the people in Team Panda. First raid, Black Dahlia 1147. I believe there's a couple of people from his raid who are still hanging out. Thank you guys for stopping by. And I know this probably isn't the most polished version of the stream, but I thank you guys for hanging out and bearing with me while I suck through Risk of Rain and Infinity Wars. And then, of course, Jessie Quill, who I refer to her and Clara as my Twitch moms, although Jessie Quill is now preferred to be called the Twitch MILF. She's been very generous in terms of making sure that people get hosted using a script, which I believe actually she pays a fee for. So even though, she doesn't necessarily see any direct benefit from it, she is actually spending some money to make sure that smaller channels like myself get some attention. So a lot of love tonight. I'm definitely feeling like it was a very good idea to have streamed tonight. Like I said, I kind of wish the quality could have been a bit better for you guys, but I wanted to make sure I at least made up for my absence in the past week, and we'll worry about getting it to the standard that we've come to expect for the next broadcast. Yeah, likewise, Akadak. It's I actually love the fact that you hang out in Fierce chat too, so I can watch my behavior on other channels that I'm on. But yeah, for everybody, as always, thanks a lot for stopping by. I'm done for tonight. I will take a look and see if there's somebody that I can host to pass along the good feelings. I'm going to do my best to do one of my optional streams on Thursday. I don't believe I'm going to have any homework due, so that seems feasible. If I'm not here on Thursday, I will definitely be back on Friday. And again, any hiatus will always be announced on Twitter or something like that. Definitely got some games I want to play. Looks like Rise of the Triad's going to be a little hard to do, but we're definitely going to get some more Crusader Kings 2, and we're going to get... might actually try Democracy 3 again. But I've definitely got some stuff that I want to play on the stream. So I've got no shortage of stuff that we're going to do on the oncoming week. And I hope you guys decide to spend some time, hanging out. That's it for me. And if you hang out for a little bit, I think I will try hosting Seriously Clara, who looks like she is still streaming.